Hello, I'm Tom and welcome to episode 3. So first of all, Happy New Year. It's 2023. Sorry that I didn't get a chance to release a new episode last month, but amidst the cold, wet, frosty weather, getting chest infections, madness of the holidays, I just didn't get a chance. So I'm sorry about that. But the good news is I've got some interesting stories and shots to show you for this episode. So my theme this month is indoor drone filming. And that partly came about because the weather was so naff. But then I got a phone call from my friend Nathan, who's just opened a brand new studio in Manchester. And he invited me down, happened to have my drone on me. And at lunchtime, I kind of got it out. I thought, well, maybe I should just sort of test it out, because one of the things I know about drones indoors is that the GPS is basically non-existent, and the GPS is pretty important because it tells the drone where it is in relation to everything else. So when you want it to hover and stay still, that's great outside because the GPS almost always works, but inside there was zero GPS, so the drone could drift in any direction. So you take your eye off it, even if you've not got your fingers on controls, it could just drift into a wall. And then the director mentioned, well, if you feel comfortable, Tom, would you like to get some shots this afternoon during the actual shoot? So I wasn't going to bypass, that opportunity. I went, yeah, of course, that sounds amazing. Boom, they turned off all the lights. So suddenly I'm flying a drone in the dark. Now, it was incredibly cool. What they were doing with the LED wall in particular and the lighting rig, just super atmospheric, really kind of cinematic. But now I'm flying a drone inside without GPS, in the dark, with a crew, a camera crane, lights, a very, very expensive LED virtual filming wall, and musicians. I kept the drone flying very, very simple, literally to the point of just kind of flying forwards and backwards. And then it got to a point where I was able to kind of fly the drone like the full length of the studio and fly it around the camera crane, through the lighting rig, and it was so much fun. Honestly, just so much fun. So yeah, I kind of thought, this has inspired me. I'm going to do indoor drone filming as this week's episode. So I've got a client who have a swimming pool. I thought that would be a really cool thing to film. I'd say that, compared to like filming in a field or like the Scottish Highlands, which I did the other month, you really feel the space shrink for the drone. You'll be very wary of the walls. You can feel it there. The shots were a bit limited because they always felt a bit similar, but you know what? I was able to get something that I wasn't able to do with just, again, a conventional camera. So that was a lot of fun. And while I was there, I got some more shots, like the exterior of the buildings, beautiful kind of winter, autumn colors there. And then I went over to their school hall in Bolton to film a rebound therapy session, which just has a massive trampoline in the middle of the hall. And the thing that I've really discovered with indoor filming is when you have a subject in the middle of the room, is to really play with the height of the drone as you rotate around the subject. The downside was that, again, the hall wasn't that big for a drone, and I ended up clipping some of the propellers. Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse, but the drone, it barely just hit the wall. But the problem is, without any protection, the propellers just immediately and then the drone plummets. So the drone is currently, it's been off for repairs. It has been repaired. It's on its way back, which is great. But I decided that I'm going to put a prop guard on it from now on. So hopefully, rather than it just plummeting when the propellers kind of get nicked, it should hopefully bounce. The next location was I went over to Wentworth Woodhouse, which is a huge heritage site over in South Yorkshire. My contact there, Steve, he's been documenting the demolition of an area of the site. And he just said, if you're interested, I've seen you doing these drone episodes, you fancy coming over and having a fly with your drone, getting some shots for us? I was like, absolutely. So I turned up and it was super foggy. I couldn't really fly it more than 30 meters up without just losing all the definition. So we got what we could. I mean, it's about documenting it, so all weathers. So I said, well, how do you feel about me getting a few shots of the rest of the site, maybe even indoors? And he seemed up for that. So I got some established shots of the building from the very front, which is quite cool. I put a few little effects on those, and it gave me a chance to play around with the color correction, which is something I mentioned, I think in episode 1, that I wanted to play with. And I played with some LUTs and things to try and make it have a kind of bit more of a bit of a tone, really, rather than just a foggy shot. And then we went inside. Now, Wentworth Woodhouse has this amazing centerpiece room called the Marble Saloon. It's been used as a location for, scenes in The Crown and Downton Abbey and stuff like that. It's just an amazing thing, and you walk in, it's breathtaking. So I thought, let's start there. That would be a good place to start. And you know, it's a graded listed building, heritage, not something that you want to smash your drone into. So I started quite tentatively, nothing too crazy, just kind of side to sides, ups and downs. But what I noticed with the Marble Saloon was that even with a relatively wide angle lens on the drone, I wasn't able to kind of just capture the full room. So I decided the best thing to do to kind of show the room was to have the drone kind of rotating around while going up and down, because it goes from like the beautiful marble floor right up to kind of like balcony area. Now, the first few attempts were not great, but it was just really fun, the challenge to try and get the perfect take. And there were segments where I felt like this is great, and then there was other segments where it was maybe a bit too fast, which is not great for, you know, watching. It's a bit motion sickness. And other bits where, you know, I was overcorrecting, so the smoothness. But tell you what, just a fantastic challenge. And once we got that, we moved on to some other areas. I mean, the whole place is fantastic. We didn't even cover a fraction of the indoor spaces, but there was an area with a chandelier. I had the drone descend and then ascend, and had the kind of points where the drone was underneath the chandelier with the camera tilted up, and then rising up and then the camera tilting down. And that was just so much fun. I mean, my thumbs were in agony by the end of this, but a good agony, like a good pain. But I was so happy with the content. It was probably 5 to 10 seconds of shots where I just thought, that looks absolutely brilliant. And it wasn't something that I could usually get with one of my other cameras. And I know I keep saying that, but that is the fun of a drone. It just offers a new perspective. It offers you a chance to get something that you maybe haven't had the chance to before, and I love that. I absolutely love it. It's just it's a giddiness where you want to keep trying things, and like I said, you push through the thumb pain. So yeah, a lot of fun. It was just to try indoor drone film. I'm definitely going to do more of it. I'm going to see what other interesting venues I can get into. Yeah, but let's see how we go on. But hey, thanks for joining me again for another episode, and I'll see you next time.